Hi everyone, it's Lindsay and I'm here today to share with you how you can use some vellum with your digital stamps. Now I'm starting out in Photoshop Elements. I'm opening a new project that is a custom size that I'm going to make 4 inches by 5¼ inch. I'll click OK and that brings up my new blank project. I want to go to File and click Place, find my stamp I want to use. I'm using the Bootastic digital stamp from Craft and Desert Divas. I just want to resize this down and place it in the bottom left hand corner. Now I had previously done this panel, so I just kind of knew what I wanted, and what I found was whenever I was doing this, it kind of flowed better if I didn't have my pumpkin in there. Now I love the pumpkin in this scene, however for my card I wanted to remove it. So I'm using the lasso tool, and you can choose that on the left hand side in your tools options. I'm just using the regular lasso and I will go around my pumpkin with my mouse. Now once that's done, I will right click on the little dancing lines and I will layer via cut. Now what you need to do before you do that, and I didn't do it here, you need to go over to the right hand side on my Digi Stamps layer, and I need to go ahead and simplify this. That's going to allow me to come back over here and layer via cut. If you don't simplify your layer, you won't be able to cut this out. Now I can go up to my pumpkin layer, click delete, and that is all gone. I now just have the ghost and the little headstone, which is exactly what I wanted. Now on the left hand side, I'm going to go ahead and choose the shape tool. I want a talk bubble, so I'm just choosing the one I want, and I want the color to be white. Now once I put this on, I'm going to go ahead and enlarge it, and if I click off of this, you will not be able to see where it is. I want to go ahead and just make it the right size, make it everything I want it to be, and while I have it chosen, I'll be able to see where it is. Now on the left hand or on the right hand side in the layers, I want to go to that shape layer, simplify it. I can go up to my edit tab, click stroke outline selection. I want to make it black. I'm making it 5 pixels, hit OK, and that's going to allow me to add that black border around that shape so you can see it. Now I want to add some text in there so it looks as if the little ghost is talking, and I'm going to write boo to you, and that's going to be my sentiment. So I'm choosing a sentiment that I have, or a font that I have downloaded for free from the internet. They're all over the place. I'll go ahead and type this out. Because my layer is beneath my shape layer, you won't be able to see it until I move it up. I want to enlarge my sentiment until it fits nicely inside that speech bubble. Once I'm happy, I click the green arrow and then it's ready to go. All I need to do is go down to my background layer and flatten my image, and then I can save this and print it off very easily. Now I'm going to go ahead and print this off twice. Once onto regular computer paper, once onto white cardstock, and then I'm coming back in with my paint tool before I print for the third time. I'm using the black paint tool, and then I just want to fill in that little mouth on the ghost, and then I will go ahead and print this off with Vellum. Now I'm using a laser printer, so it's not a big deal to me to use a lot of black ink. If you are using an inkjet printer, you want to save all the ink you can. It gets expensive using an inkjet printer, and that's why I waited until the last one to color his little mouth in with the black. So if you're using a laser, you might not care too much to go ahead and waste that ink on your other 2 layers, but it's just a way to save a little bit of ink here. Now I cut out all of my images here. I cut out all of my images from the computer paper, and I'll use those as masks, and I also cut out my little vellum ghost here, and I left about 1/8 of an inch border around him. Now on the back of the little ghost, I went ahead and filled in his chinks with some pink. Now I did this on the back because if you do it on the front, it just won't look as nice, so just make sure you flip that over and put the color on the back of the vellum. I'm going to color in this little headstone with some grays first, and I'm using just a very dark gray here, and I'll put just a flat layer of that down. Then I'm going to come in with some black, some lighter grays, the same color gray, and eventually I will come in with a white gel pen, but not until the end. And I'm adding some little dots here and there for a nice texture, almost like a granite texture on this headstone. Now one thing I didn't mention before, I had said that I use a laser printer for all of my printing. If you use an inkjet with your vellum, make sure you give it a few minutes to dry, or you take a heat tool to it before you handle it at all. It will smear very easily on that vellum. I went ahead and used rubber cement to put down each of these masks that I had cut out, and now I'm just using some black soot distress ink and my mini ink blending tool just to put a nice little haze of black soot around this little ghost and headstone above that grass line. I'm not making this very dark. I don't want it to be overly saturated with color here. I wanted this nice and light, so I start out with a very light hand, get rid of most of the ink on the tool, and then just come in very lightly and blend this on. You can see I'm not taking too much time to make sure this is nice and blended out. I don't want it super perfect looking. I want a little bit of mess ups and harsh lines here and there to make it look really patchy. Now for the little grass, I just used a bit of mowed lawn. Again, I did not use a lot of ink here. I didn't want the color saturated. I want this vellum ghost to be the shining star of the panel, I guess you could say. Now the little mouth wasn't as black as I would like it, and I need to put some adhesive behind this. So I am taking my black alcohol marker and I am just filling in the mouth on the back side of the ghost. This is going to make it nice and dark. You won't be able to see through it when I add the adhesive, and it's just going to allow me to really cover that up. There you can see it's nice and dark compared to the eyes. So I also used it to fill in the eyes as well to make them the same shade as the mouth. Now I put a little layer of Winkostella over this vellum, and when you do that, it will kind of roll up on you a little bit, but I didn't mind that. It actually gave the ghost a little bit more character, a little bit more movement. So just make sure you keep that in mind, and it will also smear your ink, so keep it away from the mouth and the eyes. So I only did one pretty generous layer of Winkostella on the ghost, but if you wanted to add even more glitz, you could come in with a second or even third layer of this and really make that ghost shine. Now just remember that it does roll up a little bit, and with each layer it will roll up a little bit more, so you might have to flatten this out before you apply it to your card if you do more than one layer, but it is possible. So I also added a pretty generous layer to my headstone, and you want to do this before I do my next step. I added some white gel pen to both the ghost and the headstone, and if you put that Winkostella over this white gel pen, it will smear it, so just make sure you do that first. Now I added some white gel pen to my little ghost here. I just did a few here and there, little lines and dots for some highlight effects, and then I came in with some little dots on my headstone to really brighten up some of those dots that I had already added. And a little tip, if your gel pen doesn't seem to be working as well as you want it to be, rub it on your finger and heat up that little tip on there, and it will flow out a whole lot more nicely. So to put this card together, I put some white fun foam on the back of that panel with some double-sided adhesive, and then I'm just going to apply it to an A2 top folding white card base. Now I try to add panels to my card base before I apply any more layers. It just helps me line things up properly. But if you want to add layers before you put your panel down and before you really commit to a card base, you can do that as well. Now for the little ghost, I used a tiny little pop dot and I placed it right behind the mouth. Now I'm using the adhesive on the back of this. If this is going through the mail, I would highly suggest squirting some multimedia matte or some glossy accents to really hold that in place. Now I wasn't happy with how dark my sentiment was. It seemed like when I masked it off, I lost a little bit of the intensity of my black. So I came in with a micron pen. I believe this is a .03 nib on this pen. And I am just going to go over that sentiment and really darken it up, and that will finish off the card. I hope you all enjoyed the video today, and I hope you too will use some vellum with your digital stamps. All you need to think about is where you're going to put that adhesive, because as you know, it shows through so easily. As always, I will leave you guys with just a few pictures of the finished card. For more information and the supply list, you can head to my blog, craftingwhilecaffeinated.wordpress.com. The link is in the description box below. Thank you guys so much for watching today, and happy crafting!